more minutes. Okay, so welcome everybody to this webcast. This is continuing in our series of what we usually do about 2 a quarter, one on previewing a release as it's in development and showing sort of what's latest after we've completed about 1 or 2 sprints. And now we're at the session where we show what's the final view of what's in this release and talk about the release schedule, and Prasanna will give a demonstration as well. To introduce myself, I'm Rich Graves from the product management team. I have my peer on the product management team, Prasanna Nagaraj, as well. So I'll be doing the presentation, Prasanna will do demo, and we'll both be available for questions throughout the session. Okay. One bit of a disclaimer, as always, we are going to be talking about roadmaps, so things beyond Elephant, and talking about some of the strategic things that we're working on and new features and new developments for CSM. So we do need to put this disclaimer out there that features may change, date may change, but this is the best we know as of today. So I think the first thing to address, knowing that the bulk of our customers and users are in North America, and we did experience some performance problems in April and May, that I want to make sure that everybody's aware of what happened and what we're doing and sort of where's our focus going forward. I've talked to many customers one-on-one, answered emails, got on conference calls, all sorts of things over the last few months, but just to make sure everyone's aware. So specifically in the North America instance, what we know as SM1, there was degradations to service, really slowdowns, brief outages, performance problems that were intermittent from April 20th and continued through to May 17th. During that time frame, we addressed a lot of the underlying issues, but we really feel like the fixes and changes we made on May 19th and May 20th were sort of the key things that finally got us past these issues. So performance has been stable since May 17th. We've seen good stability on the system, and really the root cause of those issues related to 2 main components of the application. They were really exposed because of very high usage and very high database volumes because of the growth and usage of the application. That's really exposed the problems in those components. So they were the job trigger and SLA engine components. And I won't go into a ton of detail, but in short, this is the engine. Together they work together on a queue of tickets that haven't been touched in X period of time. They'll evaluate the SLA and say, if this every 5 minutes, for example, we'll evaluate the SLAs on all these tickets that haven't been touched in a period of time and say, essentially, based on the time, are any SLA states changed? So maybe the SLA is violated, and certainly then you trigger that change on the ticket and all of the different events that relate to it, maybe notifying someone, upping priority, whatever the case may be. So that is obviously a very complex query, a complex engine. Almost all of our customers are using that, and it's critical to their business as well. So that happened, that running so frequently and being, a query or engine that can be optimized was really slowing down the system and hurting performance for all customers. So we made a lot of changes and patches, and I'll talk about those. So here's many of the things that we have done or about to do or planning to do. So we did make some capacity changes, certainly adjusted the frequency of job triggers, optimized the queries and the engine itself, adjusted a lot of SQL Server settings, database indexes, patches, temp storage on the database, a lot of different things that optimized and improved the performance of those queries. We have more changes coming in Elephant. Actually, this weekend in North America, we're rolling out the upgraded advanced reporting component. And that is specifically the Jaspersoft component. We're doing some load balancing to improve database transaction time, as well as enabling the dedicated search, Elasticsearch is what it's called, that we've talked about before. So I'll talk about all those things in the next few slides, but I wanted to make everyone aware of these, as well as what's coming soon. So we're really focused on, right now, the application is stable. We feel good about where the application is, but we still know there's areas for improvement and to make the performance even better than it was, before all these changes, before all these problems, rather. So these are a list of several of the things that we're going to be doing to improve performance, and we really think we can deliver a faster solution to you, our customers, and improve things specifically around performance. Okay. So feel free, if you do have any questions on that, to ask them on the Q&A. I'm going to keep going through the slide deck and sort of shift the focus onto the Elephant release, but feel free to ask any questions on that as well. Okay. So a few other things I wanted to talk about were the product community updates. So there's been a lot that's been going on in the community. We've posted a few new videos recently, so certainly take a look at that. Most of those are focused on Active Directory sync or SSO, so make sure you take a look at those. And then always there's lots of different conversations and discussions and questions going on in the community, so if you're not active on the community, I certainly encourage you to do that. We make sure that if there's anything going on with the system that, in addition to our notification system, that we update the community, and I try to provide a detailed discussion thread there so we can provide a lot more detail and insight and transparency to what's going on. Also, ideas, that's one of the primary places that we get our sort of ranked backlog from is from you, the community, and from your voting and interest in certain areas where we can improve the product or enhance it or add new innovation as well. As I just mentioned, the notification system. So if you are not familiar with the notification system, if you're currently not receiving emails that look like this, this is the email or the notification that we send out when we're about to do maintenance. This one's specific to, I believe, a patch we put out a couple months back. So if you're not receiving these emails or you don't know what I'm talking about, please open up a ticket with support and ask to be added to the notification system. There was when we first rolled this out, we took everyone that opened support tickets and added them to this notification system. So if you're new customer, or not necessarily new customer, if you're new to CSM and you're not getting these notifications, please do open up a ticket with support because they're really helpful. So when there's problems with the service or when there's maintenance or upgrades, we send out these notifications with all the details of what's going on. Next is the public status pages. So this is all on the community. If you looked at the featured content on the sort of mid-right side of the community homepage, you'll see links to these. We have these monitoring sites that are available to show the status of the system at a point in time from different areas around the globe. This is using a CA product, a monitoring product. And so I certainly encourage you to use these. If you're seeing something funny from a performance standpoint, if you're not sure if it's just your machine or your browser or your company network and want to validate that, this is the first place I go, is check this out and see what the status is. And you can see what's going on, especially if you're, I was talking to a customer today from Canada. Well, we have monitoring sites specific to Canada. So if we have a network problem with Canada going to the infrastructure in North America, you can see that as well. Next on the release cadence. So again, we're continuing with the quarterly release cadence. Elephant has been delayed, and that's why we're talking about this a little bit later than we normally would because of the performance problem. So delayed about a month, but we continue to focus on quarterly updates. So the next release, which is called Firefly, will continue to be released in August. It'll be a smaller release. But we want to keep up that quarterly release cadence and not, push everything back. So have a shorter release that comes out in August, or a shorter time box of effort that will be delivered in August called Firefly. So again, the key things to remember is we do these releases. The target is the middle month of the quarter. We try to roll out to staging about 10 days, business days before production. And we also, the naming everybody always asks is it's release names are lucky symbols in alphabetical order, so that's why you see Clover, Dragonfly, Elephant, Firefly, Goldfish, and beyond. Okay. Next on customer requests, I'd like to put this up because this is really a pulse of what I hear from customers, from direct conversations to support issues to the community and worse where the conversation's going. Definitely improve system performance is the #1 request I'm hearing at this point. And the next one is reducing time to resolve defects. I think with the performance struggles that it did delay some of these defects being resolved. So that'll be a key focus. These first two areas are really the only areas of focus that we'll work on for the Firefly release in that short time period of essentially 2 months of engineering effort. So that'll be your focus there. Next is improved productivity for analysts. Obviously, saving time and clicks is saving money or making your analysts able to resolve tickets faster and be more productive. So that's a key thing. And then also more ideas from the community. I think there's a lot of, we've been able to address a good number of what was top 20 at the time we addressed them, but there's more stuff that's moving up into that top 20 that we need to spend time on. I think areas like attachments and the mobile app and things like that you'll see are pretty high up on the community that we'll spend some time on in future releases. So next on to Elephant. So Elephant is really three key components of this release. First is performance improvement. So we did some architecture and predominantly database changes onto how to optimize and perform things from the performance side. We're not going to necessarily show anything. It's all back-end changes when we come to the demonstration. So we're really focused on optimizing, or excuse me, load balancing the database transactions. So we have multiple database servers for failover and recovery. So we want to basically do some better load balancing across the primary servers, continue to have the failover systems in place, but better load balance those transactions so not everyone is hitting the same database for their active transactions. So we can do a better job there and enhance performance and utilization on the system as well. Next is analyst productivity enhancements. So we'll speak to these in more detail in the following slides. Predominantly, we want to improve the search experience in the app, as well as streamline some of the processes on tickets as far as viewing contact information, as well as doing some other things on the tickets that I'll talk about in more detail later. Last but certainly not least, there are administration improvements. A lot of these are small but very important improvements to the application. The first is direct URLs to key objects in the system, followed by some other small ones that I know are annoyances and problems from the admin side, changing usernames, adding a large number of groups to key objects, exposing IDs for web services integrations. So I'll talk more about those as well. So first is the global search. So it's using an engine known as Elasticsearch. It's a very powerful, dedicated search engine. So today, if you were to go to global search, it's doing a database search, which is not optimized for high volume search engines and the things that people are searching for in CSM. So this is still in beta, but it will be available to all customers. We did a beta for the Dragonfly release with a very small number of customers just to make sure that we had the basics down pat and now figured out some things to optimize and enhance in the search engine and better index the search as well. So this will be available to all customers with Elephant. It does have a beta label, and you can basically swap between the old and the new search. So if for some reason you don't like the experience on the new beta search, you can swap and use the old search. But it will be enabled by default, really easy, just a little button to switch back if you don't want to use it. But the search is a dedicated search engine. Performance is much, much better than the previous one. It also has some new filters that you can see here in the screenshot, and it also has an advanced search so that you can do things like ands and ors, use double quotes to do specific searches, as well as you can search for specific name value pairs. So you can put in an actual attribute name, equal, and then the value, and see the results based on that. So a lot of flexibility on how you search, and of course better results and faster performance as well. So Prasanna will share that briefly, but I think it'll really improve usability and performance on the analyst side. Next on advanced reporting. Advanced reporting is actually going to go a little bit earlier. It should be in all the North America or America's production systems, or excuse me, staging systems right now. This was actually rolled out last night into the staging environments. So if you're based out of the America's staging system, SM1S, certainly recommend that you go check this out and play with it and see how you feel that performance is on this. A couple of the key changes to this upgrade, it's essentially the underlying component that we use for reporting is Jaspersoft, so we're upgrading from 5.6 to 6.2. It comes with a large number of performance enhancements, which is I know our customers have been asking for. It does have a new dashboard designer. So it's a nice enhancement to dashboard designers, a new look and feel to be able to use that. Also an updated ad hoc view designer, not a huge number of changes in the ad hoc view designer, just some minor enhancements there. And it also does resolve a large number of customer reported defects with the advanced reporting component. So I think it'll be a better experience, resolved a lot of issues around dates and times that a number of customers have reported. So that is now live and staging and goes into production in the America systems this weekend on the 10th. Late Friday night Pacific time. So check your communications on that just to make sure you have all the details there. We did update the community yesterday with all the detail of all the fixes that are there, as well as the improvements. Next is the direct URL to key objects. This came from the community. I think the request was really about like human readable URLs. You could, it was possible to build a URL to CSM, but it's not very obvious, and it wasn't always easily found in the system how you could do these types of things. So we want to make that much easier, and you can see the examples here. You can, and this is really helpful from navigating from other systems to CSM, whether it's integrations, emails, SharePoint, or whatever you're using inside your environment. So you can go directly to tickets, configuration items, KB articles, and service catalog items, and you can see the example of what the URL will look like. So obviously you have to insert your correct system, so SM1 or SM2, whatever the case may be, and then that hash ticket, and then a forward slash, and then whatever the ticket ID is. So very simple. You can create these on, a human can create these, and it'll be very helpful for integrations and other systems as well. Okay. Next is the additional analyst improvements. So there's 3 small improvements, but I think that'll add a lot of sort of improved usability from the analyst perspective. The first is on adding the CCTI into the CSV export on Ticket Center. CCTI was added in the previous release to the list and in grid objects. So now you have the ability to export that as well. We also exposed additional contact profile attributes in the ticket. So in the ticket, when you click on the user profile icon, the requester or requested by user, currently you'd see just a set number of attributes that are displayed there. Several customers asked for additional attributes to be displayed there, so those have been added as well. And the last item here is something that I think came up and was partially a bigger problem when we were having performance issues, was disabling the action button until the currently executing action has finished. So a couple times, or several customers reported that if someone double-clicked too fast, or someone clicked an action and then immediately did another action, it could cause some problems in the system with how the order they were executed in and how things were done. So we have disabled the actions buttons until that transaction has been completed. So another important enhancement, I think that's useful as well. One note on this slide, in the previous time we covered Elephant a few months back, we were targeting this enhancement to multi-select, the multi-select widget that we use in many forms. Currently, you cannot select items across pages. So if you select 3 items from the first page, then go to the next page and select 2 items, it's only going to take what's currently active on the page that you're on. So that we are treating as a defect and are working on that one, and it should be out either with the Firefly release or before that, but it did not, unfortunately did not make the Elephant release. Next onto the admin improvements. The first item here, ability to modify a username after initial save. Previously, because of the platform and integrations we had with our user management system, we did not allow ability to change usernames after that initial save of the user. So we have enabled that now, and there's a configuration parameter that you can basically turn on if you want to be able to change usernames. And additionally, the next item is the display ID field. So on many of the new administration forms in the product, we didn't expose the ID field. And for most users, that's not a problem, but if you are doing integrations with web services or to other systems, those ID fields are handy to know. So we've just re-enabled and exposed those attributes. And the last one is for a few customers on service catalog configurations, they were adding a large number of groups or users to those items. And now we support adding more than 25 users or groups or roles to that as well. Okay, I'm going to pause there and start switching over to Prasanna for the demo. If there are any questions at this point, we'll certainly take them. If you have an audio question, you can ask it with #6 or #6 on your phone. Again, everybody is on mute. And then if you also want to ask a question on WebEx, you can use the WebEx Q&A, which is a question mark icon and followed by Q&A on the WebEx. Okay. Oh, go ahead, Prasanna.
Yeah, you're able to hear me?
Hear you now. Yep.
Yeah. The first thing probably I'll show off the search enhancements, what we have done. I think this is the beta feature with the search engine, Elastic Search Engine. So in case you want to switch back to the old one, so it goes back to the old one. And then if you want to try beta, so you have the option of, like, in case now I'm in the old this one. So if I'm doing a password search for something related to passwords, I would get to the old screen and then search this on that one. So let me try out the beta and then try the password. So the response is quite fast. So you could see that this one. So why it's still beta is because we have enabled only these three entities, like tickets, knowledge articles, and the user. If you see the normal global search, you have various other entities like configuration item, catalog, organization groups, asset, and other stuff. So we are going space by space. So in this release, we are able to get to these three entities and then complete that. So apart from this quick search engine, what we also added is the benefit of filtering on this organization. For example, in case if I want to filter on top of this, like for example, okay, give me a list of things which were last 7 days. So I would get the list of things which got modified within last 7 days. So I could able to concentrate on that. Or in case if you want to switch back to specific ticket type or entity, so I would get only the tickets over here, knowledge articles only over here, and then users in case if there are any for that search, it would show me up over there. So and then also this information tab, that's the search tab which was there in the earlier one too. So how we can use these custom phrases or custom special characters to streamline the search for the quick narrow down the results. So in case I'm just trying to do one more search on the individual. I'm just searching on my name. So it would show me all the tickets or the knowledge articles which are created. There are no tickets created by knowledge articles, it shows up, and then the user. It will show up the users over there too. So that's the new enhancement search engine which we have added. Clicking next to the other enhancements, what we have done is one on the short URL or the friendly URL. Is what I think in case if you are looking for a ticket, if you want to tell someone to open up this particular ticket, so you just need to specify the URL and then ticket, hash ticket, and then just the number. It would open up that particular ticket. If it is already logged in user, it would open directly the ticket. In case if I am using a new URL or the new browser which the user does not have logged in earlier, it would prompt him for that particular It would prompt him for the login in case if he logs in. It will open up that particular ticket directly. So this way, all the org credentials or the org-based security gets enabled. Only person who has got access to view that particular ticket will only be able to view even from the direct URL. All the organization permission aspects have been taken care while doing this particular short URL. And then not just for the ticket, we also have it for the 4 different types of entities. One is for the CIs. So for ticket, you would be able to directly go and then see the ticket ID, which would show me up for that. For the configuration item, what we need to pass is the configuration ID. So if you open up any configuration item, so you would see that particular ID. So here 149247 is the ID of that particular configuration item, which we could open up directly from there. Let me show you that. So that's the configuration item. So similarly, we have it for the KB article. Even for KB article, you would see the article ID in the KB itself in the description. So here 4425 is the KB article ID. Let us open that and then see. One more thing to note down is this hash KB or hash ticket, hash TI are all case sensitive. In case if I am using some other character or K in capital, B in small would not work. So that's the current limitation. Probably will overcome that soon. But at this release, all these things are case sensitive and have to be specified with the same case over here. So one more on that. This one is the knowledge article. The opens up there, and then last one is the catalog option. So catalog option would be different. For example, we open up a new ticket request for that particular user. For example, if you see here configuration, catalog configuration. Here also we have added the IDs to ensure that people are not required to go to fetch the ID. So it would be available on the initial screen and also available in the grid layout. So 131 is the ticket ID. In case if I am opening this particular catalog, I would directly open a ticket request catalog with this particular information.
And Prasanna, right there, I just want to mention that while you're typing that in, the catalog configuration, or what used to be like ticket templates, this is really useful, you know, and came from a specific request from lots of customers in the community, actually, on, you know, being able to launch a user directly into that catalog item from outside the tool. So if you have a SharePoint site or intranet site that is telling users, you know, go here for, I don't know, network printer issues, you can send them directly to the exact, you know, catalog item and have them start filling out the ticket for an end user, rather than having to send them just to the self-service portal and saying, go here, find this, and then do this. So it's a really nice way to integrate and put that, sort of put the service desk into other areas inside your inside your organization, so you can get users to the right thing rather than having them have to go to the portal and you know, navigate through other catalog items as well.
Right. So that's about the knowledge article or the short URLs which are available. And then one more thing, when I'm the catalog page, would like to show the other enhancements which we have done for the viewer section. So earlier we were able to add more than 25 groups or users to the system, but it was not visible in the UI. Even the backend, it was enabling those groups are added. So what we have done in the new UI is like probably added a scroll to that where you could be able to see any new additional groups which got added to that. So let me add a few groups over here. So let me see. Let's just have DBA or the multiple one, last one. So a lot of business are there here. So we take something which has just throwing it in, so that you'll get added over there. So that way you will see all those things, and then it will have a scroll down where if there are more than 25, you will scroll those and then see those group names associated to that particular catalog, having the permission for viewing that catalog. So one more small feature which got added was the modifying the username. The username is one thing which, for example, when I'm creating a new user, at that point of time it gets dynamically created on this one. We will not be able to modify them, and then we will have a customer configuration parameter to allow that user name to be allowed to modify or not. So let me go to the config parameter and then show you that particular config. Allow editing the username. So currently I'm setting this to yes, that's the parameter. By default, it gets rolled out to, when anything gets rolled out, it will be no, because currently it's not allowed for the users to modify. In case it requires for some customers to modify that, they can set that parameter to yes, and then it will allow you to modify the username as you modify the rest of the other attributes in the contact profile. So let me.
And Prasanna, just one thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And just after you finish that, can you jump back to the configuration parameters, because I think it's a useful thing to note.
Yeah.
So clear your search on the top right of the configuration parameters just so you can see everything. Just one tip that I use, because just like Prasanna did, I can never remember what the name of different configuration parameters are. So Prasanna, if you go over to the ID column and switch the sort order to the newest on top, all the configuration parameters as we publish them have a new ID, and in the 900s is the newest stuff. So when I can't remember what that new configuration parameter was we put in the last release, I just go here, I sort, see the newest stuff on top, and then I can say, you know what, I forgot to set, allow editing username. That's the one I was looking for. Or enable child-based org search is another one we did last release. So just a quick tip that's helpful for me, because I can never remember the names of all these, even so I can avoid having to jump to the doc and look that up. So sorry to interrupt you there, Prasanna. Just a tip for everyone.
Yeah, that is a good tip. So that's how you'll be able to modify the username and then have them stored there. And then small other enhancements over the ticket center. So earlier we had the categorization got added to the grid. So you could see the new categorization in the ticket grid. Thanks for this. Let's see if they have added the categorization. You would see that categorization got added. So when we try to export to a CSV file the ticket grid, earlier the categorization was not added to that because this was done in last release. So we just made that modified and then make it available in the categorization in the export too. So this was the small changes which we have done on the export option of that. That's for the changes on the Jaspersoft. Let me go to the Jaspersoft. So this is already rolled out available in staging, which you can able to see. So the Jaspersoft 6.2 has the new feature where earlier Jaspersoft for creating a new dashboard, you would require a report or something which is available ad hoc view, or something should be available for you to get started. So now with the new dashboard, so where I can go and create a new content, I'm going to create a chart here or a table here. Let me go and create a table. So and then it will create a new data store. Let me go and create a custom data. Then create a ticket. So it creates ad hoc view and on the fly while creating the dashboard. So that's the new functionality or the new feature which got added in the 6.2 of Jasper release. Let me go and create a filter so that it gets reduced.
So a couple notes while Prasanna is creating sort of the sample report for us or dashboard is the dashboard designer. You can use existing reports that you have. Existing dashboards aren't migrated to this. It's just the way that Jaspersoft changed the dashboard designer. You do need to drag your reports onto the dashboard canvas and set any changes up there, which is not a hard thing to do. But your existing dashboards are not migrated to the new dashboard designer. And just a reminder for folks, the Q&A feature on WebEx, feel free to ask any questions you have. We've had a couple come in already, so feel free to ask any other questions on the Q&A feature. And in just a couple minutes, we'll break again for audio questions.
Yep. So that's a simple feature, simple report I just created. It would give me tickets which are created after that particular date. So it gets some response.
So one question I'll highlight, just jumping back, that came in on the search feature. One question that came in was related to when will other search objects, be added to the search filter or the new search versus the old search that has a lot more objects. With each release, our plan is to add more and more objects. It does take some significant work to index these objects and make sure that they're working in the right way. So with each release, we'll roll this out. And that's why we have the beta tag on it, because we know it's not complete, but we want to get that function out to users on the most common objects they're using today. So we'll get that out. And so with the Firefly release in August, we'll have some more. And then following that in Goldfish in November, we'll have even more. And we also plan to add more functionality to the search and use that search engine in other areas than just global search. So say on a ticket, when you're doing a knowledge article search, using that search engine because it has better results and better performance than what we use today, as well as looking at using it for like lookup fields. For very large lookup fields, we know, again, a dedicated search engine would be a lot better than just doing, just doing a database query. So I just want to highlight that question as well. Okay, so Prasanna, I believe, passed the ball back to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's fine. And keep an eye on time. We still have some time left, but I want to cover a few other areas, and then again we can open up for more audio questions. So as far as the roadmap, so typical CA roadmap slide. The existing, I did put in what we're doing for Elephant. The next two columns, what we're planning is what we're targeting over the next few releases. And then under consideration is sort of beyond that. So a couple things to highlight in what we're planning going forward. As I said before, for the Firefly release, it's a very short release. We're, again, focused on getting back to that quarterly cadence since we missed things with Elephant. So operational improvements is really the number one thing. We want to improve system performance across several different components, focusing on that SLA engine, and the job triggers, as well as load time on tickets, save time on tickets, looking at different database archiving and purging functionality as well. And then also, so that's the primary focus of Firefly, really improving performance of the application, as well as we're going to spend a significant amount of time making sure we take care of customer-reported defects and so reduce the time that it's taking to resolve some of those things today. Additionally, planning sort of what we're planning and working on and starting to plan into our sprints and iterations are analyst productivity improvements. So an easier process to create a new contact from a ticket. It's not the best process today, and a couple customers have asked us to do some better work there. Next is the research utility. The research utility is something that I really think is awesome. It's the ability to do your searching and researching. If you're an analyst and working on a very difficult ticket and you're out on the web, you're out on Google, your search engine of choice, and you're looking up different information about the problem you're working on, when you find that information today, what we find is some people copy and paste it, put it back in a ticket. Some people just reference that they learned something on the internet or they found some information, but often you lose that context, you lose the URL, maybe lose a screenshot or a specific step-by-step process. Maybe you're looking at TechNet or something. So we have this research utility that is essentially a browser extension that will allow you to do your normal searching as you do on the web, and when you find something that's useful, click the browser extension. You can take a screenshot, you can copy text, you can just grab the URL, and then pick one of your tickets that's showing up there because it knows who you are. Pick one of your existing tickets that you own and allow you to attach that all directly from the browser session and not have to copy and paste and go back and forth or just lose that context completely. One of the other items we're working on is optimizing the end user experience for attaching files to a ticket. Today you have to actually save or submit that ticket first and then attach files. End users, certainly are not used to that process or might be used to how things are done in other systems. So we want to optimize that and improve the whole experience of attachments, and we'll do that first for end users and then for analysts as well. Under consideration, sort of the longer-term items that we're working on, these are things that we are designing, working on. Prasanna and I are writing stories or features for that. Real-time updates to Ticket Center, doing more of a push notification approach to Ticket Center. Improving process design or advanced reporting. I think there's still some things we can do to improve the data sets that come out of the box to reduce the need for going into the domain designer. Automation workflows, building in some efficiencies there to integrate the process designer with the automation module. Data extract, so not all of our customers, but a good percentage of our customers are using this. This is really for offline reporting. So we want to improve that process, add more to the offline reports, make it something that's more self-service manageable than having to contact CA support every time you need that. And then improve in-application notification or collaboration. And that could be integrations to tools like CA's FlowDoc, Slack, or some other tools like that as well. So those are all things we're looking at, starting to design and play around with and do some testing with so for longer term. Okay. So in summary, and then I'll open up for audio questions, the Elephant rollout itself will start in mid-June. So right now, we're targeting staging, and these dates may change, so certainly pay attention to the community and the notification system. But staging upgrades starting the week of June 20th, with production upgrades targeted for early July. We had planned to do the production rollouts at the very end of June, but we always want to try to avoid end of quarter and doing any sort of modification. So really sort of a good time to have a blackout window or change freeze window at the end of a month, end of quarter. So that's why we pushed these dates out about a week than what we were planning. So early July is the target for those production upgrades. Again, final dates will be posted on the community in the next week or two, and so look out for those, and as well as notifications sent out from the system as well. Again, we'll continue to do the quarterly release cadence. Firefly is what's targeted next for August. and really focused on two key areas, performance and customer reported defects. Again, small release and really a lot of back-end changes, but hopefully things that will really improve the customer experience for all of you. Last but certainly not least, and I know I mention this every time, is you know, get active on the community. It's always useful to see the discussions and threads, and I try to get in there and comment and update things every day. So I encourage everybody to get active there, and certainly voting on ideas is one of the key things we use in our input. Knowing what customers want and what they need and how that's prioritized against other things, other ideas in the community is very helpful when, from a product management team, we work on things there. So I will pause now. We still have some time left. If there's any questions, feel free again to use the WebEx Q&A, or if you have an audio question at this point, you can hit #6 or #6 on your phone to unmute yourself, and we'll address any other questions now. Prasanna, one other question that came direct to me was the URLs, like the direct URLs. Will those work with single sign-on? So if someone's using, you know, servicedesk.company.com, will the direct URLs work with single sign-on? And Prasanna, you may be on mute. You there, Prasanna? Oh, we may have lost Prasanna.
No, I'm there. Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, the friendly URLs, the short URLs would work even after the single sign-on, because even single sign-on login, after login you would see the sm1.task.ca.com only. Only the URL would be for logging in, initial login. So that would, so it would work even if they are using single sign-on.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yeah.
Any other audio questions? So again, it is, let me look at the participant list here. It's #6 or #6 to unmute yourself. Or I can't. Okay. Well, if there's no other questions at this time, we can go ahead and end the recording and the audio portion of the call. Prasanna and I will hang around on WebEx for the next about 10 minutes or so. If there's any other questions on WebEx, feel free to ask them again with the Q&A. Just the last few housekeeping items. I'll post the recording and share this PowerPoint on the community in the next 48 hours. Usually we can get out faster, but I try to commit to 48 hours, so you'll see that there, and certainly feel free to share that with anyone on your team. And that's it for today. So thank you, everyone. I really appreciate you joining and listening live, and we look forward to rolling out this release soon. Thank you.